Hey guys, look, I got my little snooter here. She's just being a little purry cuddle kitten here. And I'm really excited. Pretty soon here, we're going to have Victoria from rawvegan.se joining me live. We're going to go into her experience with raw food, living in Scandinavia, here in Sweden. And I'm sure she'll pop on here pretty soon. Hey,
Hello! Hey again!
Good to see you again.
My favorite fruit, persimmon.
They are so darn good, and they're just like jelly right now, so soft and perfect. And hopefully Kitty doesn't tip over the stand again. She's cruising around here. You'll probably see some tails popping up here. So how are you doing?
Thanks, I'm doing well. I am here in Italy right now in Tuscan. And we also have this fantastic persimmon. It was so fun because when I started the video, the first thing I saw, it wasn't you, it was a persimmon in your hand.
So if people don't know you, just in case people don't know you, rawvegan.se, you live in Sweden out here and grew up in Sweden and have been into raw food for over 7 years.
Yes.
Yeah, so what got you into raw food in the beginning? How'd you find this path and this lifestyle?
Oh, it's actually, it's a long story.
Yeah.
But I have always been like, I have had a very bad digestion, and I have lots of inflammation in my body. I was elite workout in badminton, so I always get injured very easy, and I have low immunity, so I get like a sore throat every second week, and I still work out, and then I also modeling, so my skin was quite bad also that time because I didn't eat well, and I have so many different imbalances in my body. So I have always been searching for something that can help me to get rid of these problems. So I noticed that the better I start to eat, the better I start to feel, and that it brings me more into raw food because I noticed that the more fruit and vegetables I include, the better I feel. So so I started to, I have gone these steps like almost everyone I do, like vegetarian, and then you cut cheese, and then you cut milk and egg, and and all these things. So the more things I took out from my diet, the better I feel. And when I took the cooked food also off my diet, I noticed a huge difference, and especially in my skin and digestion, it really happens. Yeah, it happens a lot that everything got just better. So so that just keeps me stay here, and I am here now, and I haven't been sick for 6 years, I think, and
that's awesome.
And my skin is I have never problem with my skin.
So how do you find that affected like your badminton and your modeling and stuff like that? Did that make it a lot easier, or did anyone who you're with comment, or have any funny ideas around it?
Yeah, with my badminton, it was, I don't know exactly, because I switched my diet when I was injured. So I was away from badminton 2 years, actually, because of that. But when I started again, I come up to a higher level, and I noticed that I was more clear in my brain, so I could focus better, because you really have to, it's so much tactic in badminton, so you really have to be clear in your brain and focus and be fast, and so you really have to, so you can place the ball on the right place on the court. So that's what I noticed, and my energy was so much higher, so I actually prestate so much better. And the first competition I had after coming back, I actually won that competition, and and I ate only apples for the whole day, nothing but wild apples, because I had so much energy, so I didn't want to eat something else. I just want to have my apples, and I won the competition, so it really made me well. But then I stopped actually badminton also, because I trained too much because I had so much energy, so I just, well, it was too much for my heels. And then I traveling a lot because I was modeling. So so it doesn't work to to stay on that. But definitely, I work out so much better. Even have too much energy with this diet. So when I was modeling, it was also so much easier because my skin, it really clears out in this diet. So I get jobs easier, and when I have my job, they didn't have to put lots of makeup. Okay, they put lots of makeup, but put it on layer and layer and layer on the whole day, because before that my skin was so like oily, so so they have to put like powder through the day, and that was quite painful actually. So so it make everything easier for me. Yeah.
That's awesome. So did you get any remarks, or did anyone in either kind of like say like, what are you doing, or like, that's weird, or you like, did you get any kind of reaction, or was it completely outside of that and people didn't really see it?
My acne, you mean?
No, like your dietary choices. Like, did other people in badminton or modeling, did they notice, and like, did they think it was weird, or did they have any questions or concerns for you?
Oh yes, I have gone through so much things with my workout trainer. He said he thinks that I eat too little protein and all this kind of stuff, and I'm skinny, and I mean I smash harder than most of the guys. So it doesn't matter if I'm if I'm skinny, and but he was on me. Yes, you should eat more proteins, and I was I have already tried that, and it doesn't work. So and then in the modeling industry also, when we get this, we get this free food when we have these long days. So it's kind of, maybe it's a baguette, or it's it's burger or pizza or salad, or I don't know. It's really young food, and I sit there with my like fruit monomeal, and people think that I have eating disorder because I eat these big amounts of fruit, while people eat like baguettes, and they skip the bread, only eat the filling because they don't want to be bloated, because carbs make you bloated, you know. So I have gone through so many weird things by doing it, but I am so sure that I make the right thing, so I don't care. I just do it.
Oh, good for you. That's awesome, because we need to be setting that example, and it is kind of funny, like when you've taken the red pill, you've gone through this, you've started to see things and feel things, that you start to see it from the completely opposite angle, and recognize that most people are on some kind of eating disorder. But the more you get back to our natural diet and the whole plant foods, the closer you are to as natural as you could be, right? Like every animal in the world, they eat their natural diet, and they eat it fresh, you know, like raw in its natural state. You know, it's really funny how people see that as weird, like, oh my God, you're eating 5 bananas or whatever. Like, it's just
exactly. That is just so weird. And I mean, almost everyone have some kind of eating disorder, even if you don't call it some eating disorder like anorexia, bulimia. I mean, everybody thinks about food, and no one eats absolutely perfect, because we still have emotions, and we still have cravings, and but the more closer you eat to natural foods like fruit and vegetables, the things that grows in nature, the more you can hide these emotions, and you feel more confident in yourself, and therefore you get so much more healthier.
Absolutely. No, for sure, because like we're trained since we're little to use food as a coping mechanism, right? So it's like that is a form of eating disorder when we're eating for reasons other than just nourishment. But it's very rare the person that just eats simply for nourishment. And the beautiful thing is, though, people think that like a healthy diet is kibbles and bits, and it's got to be just health food. But the reality is, you can pick the most delicious, juicy, sweet, and satisfying foods on the planet and be super healthy. Like Mother Nature and God got it right. You know, they designed food in a way that it's pleasurable and nutritious. You know, it's pretty beautiful.
Yeah, it really is like that. So so I mean, this is not a weird lifestyle, and it's not like it's complicated. It's the easiest lifestyle you can have. You can make like complicated foods with raw food also, but still your base can be fruit and vegetables, and therefore it just be so much easier to live. I mean, when you eat like cooked food, you can have like 20 different ingredients in one, or even up to 50 ingredients in one dish, and that is very complicated, and you have to cook things, fry things, and all this kind of stuff. With raw food, you can just take like persimmon. You can take 10 persimmon, and that's it.
Boom, you're done, right? Yeah. The foods are so
Yeah.
perfectly balanced. Like, yeah, like an amazing persimmon meal. I don't need anything else, you know. And I have no problem eating until I'm totally full, and then I don't feel like crap afterwards, right? It's so good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm curious though. What was your original inspiration? You said you kind of just started researching it and stuff, but was there anything that really jumped out, or anyone that really cleared things up and made things just gel so that you went right into raw food?
I have listened on so many different raw food gurus out there, and so it's hard to say exactly what this was, but because I have listened on so many different people, I have tried so many different things. Yeah. So what worked best for me, it was when I find Dr. Graham with the 80-10-10 diet, but it doesn't work fully, so I kind of adjust it. Yeah, because I also have my best friend and Dan Urbom, if you know who he is. It was the most famous people in Sweden about wild food and living food. So he gave me so much tips and inspiration, and so a kind of mix of that, and with Dr. Graham. So I use lots of sprouts and I love to use herbs and also spices. So I include that lots in my new book, The Spice of Life, that is included in the Norwegian bundle.
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
we should talk about
and I
that
use
a little
lots of foods from nature and seaweeds also. So it's not like 80-10 diet. I have adjusted to my own style that works very well for me. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, that's beautiful, because I mean, I think a lot of times people think that 80-10-10 or raw food has to be a specific box. But to me, anyway, there is flexibility around these things. And when we're talking about a basis of our diet being around fresh, whole, ripe fruits and vegetables and, you know, other stuff like that, I think it's just an awesome, awesome way of living and eating. And I'm similar too, because I include some things that aren't specific in 80-10-10, like, you know, seaweeds and stuff like that. I do enjoy those, or barley grass powder. I like that. But the basis is in fruits and veggies. You know, about your book, you know, that's really exciting. So the book that you have, The Spice of Life, you want to share a little bit about it, and you know what your inspiration for it was, and maybe a few of your favorite recipes that are in there. Not exactly what's in the recipes, but what the recipes are.
Yes, what inspired me to do the book is because I wanted more. I mean, I am so happy with just eating fruit and salad, but I want to create more like kind of recipes that are similar to cooked food. And really get a big variety and have these kind of spices and herbs that is so healthy for the body. So I have get inspired by different countries around the world, like China, Mexico, Thailand, and different kind of countries, and took the best of the best and my favorite dishes I had when I ate cooked food, and then transition it to raw food and make it like healthy raw food, lower in fat style, and because that was what I was missing. So I just created a book with that.
Well, that's awesome. That's one of the roadblocks people really have, right? Like, I mean, for sure, everyone likes fruits, and once you get accustomed to some veggies and greens, you start to like those a lot more. But there might be a celebration, or there might be a devastation. You know, you have a hard day, and you just feel like something a little bit different. You know, you're going out with friends, and they're having a potluck. You want something different, right? And then those fruits can come into play.
Yeah, and one thing I also missed in the raw food recipe word is like gourmet food that is not like super high in fat and dense and dehydrated food. I want to create more like juicy things that still have the little extra touch, and in order to get the little extra touch, maybe you use some different spice mixes, or you use different textures, and different kind of new cool combinations that really makes you excited. So like I have sun-dried tomatoes in my chocolate trifle, and that is very odd. That makes people like excited about it. This is cool.
Yeah.
You know, so I really want to try to create cool recipes.
Yeah, heck yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
think you accomplished that, and I definitely think it's going to be a standout book. I'm also curious, just going raw vegan and vegan here in Sweden. 7 years ago, what was it like? Like, was there many people doing it? Did you feel like you're kind of alone in this realm of raw foods and vegan foods? Or I know you said you had your one inspiration for the fellow who has been vegan for a long time out here, but was he near you, or was you just talking online, or how did that work?
When I started raw food here in Sweden, it was much harder than it is now. Raw food have really grown, and even veganism. I mean, if you see restaurant, you can get vegan food in all restaurants nowadays, but you couldn't before. But raw food is also much easier now if I compare to 7 years back, because it's easier to get food because we have started to import more food here in Sweden.
Yeah.
So nowadays I tend to order food from internet, like Freshland and Årstiderna, and there I get organic food. And I also like to go to different fruit shops, and these fruit shops, it was a few of them, but not a lot of them for a few years ago. So it have really happened a lot in the past year. So nowadays it's so much easier than it was before.
Yeah.
But it's still with organic. It can be quite expensive here in Sweden.
Yeah.
But because my belief is that if you eat the fruit and the vegetables that is in season, and grow as near you are as possible, it is more clean. So here in Europe, for example, it's more clean than if you go to America.
For sure.
And when food is imported long way from your area, is probably also more dirt on that. So I try to follow my own feeling, what's good and what's sprayed, and so
that makes a lot of sense to me. That makes a lot of sense to me, and it also sounds like you really you really do enjoy foraging and growing your own sprouts and stuff, which, I mean, that's, you're not going to be spraying. I don't imagine you make sprouts and then put some pesticides on it, so really reducing there. I'm curious, like, in terms of wild foraging, both fruit and greens, what are the two that you find you most consistently forage here in Sweden, maybe in different seasons?
Yes, in summertime it's so much berries here in Sweden. You can find like blueberry, raspberry, blackberry, this, and even wild strawberry, and then you have other berries that is very healthy for you, but maybe not so delicious, like aronia berry and hawthornberry and rowanberry, I think is called in English. Is a little orange berry, and these kind of berries, like they are very, very healthy. Like
very tart.
One rowanberry have as much vitamin C as a whole orange. So wow! So I try to create lots of recipes with this kind of food. So I really try to use foods from nature that maybe don't taste so good, but it's very healthy, and make the recipes of that so they would taste good. So I can use this in my recipe. So combining them with dates, it can be a good smoothie.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is what I find in summer and in the beginning of autumn. And I like to freeze and I like to dry them, so I have them whole year around. And with greens, I have actually noticed that I live in Gothenburg, so it's not so much snow, and so as long as it's not minus degrees and a bit, maybe about 5 degrees or so, I can find greens the whole year, like dandelion greens and this kind of stuff. And this type of greens might not taste so good because they are so bitter for many people, but still you can really, like, yeah, you can get used to these kind of flavors too.
Yeah.
Because we are so used to that everything is sweet.
Yeah.
And even when you buy like broccoli and kale from a supermarket, that comes originally from a dandelion.
Yeah.
So if we have just hybridized it, so it's more sweet now. So we really need the bitter things too to balance out the other flavors we have in our diet. So if you only eat sweet foods, we may have some different kind of problems with digestion or liver, because digestion and liver really requires some type of bitterness.
Yes.
So I try to make good recipes with that, and yeah, combine them with other flavors so they really taste good. So I use wild foods whole year around, actually. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I totally agree with, you know, you can't beat getting fresh stuff from your immediate setting and trying out different things. And it's also really cool too, because like you said, like if you never had dandelion greens or even arugula or something, you might taste it and be like, oh, this is way too strong. But you start to have a little bit, you start to eat a little bit more, and you start to enjoy it and crave it a little bit more. And otherwise, it's really awesome to mix it in. Like sometimes, for example, like I love dandelion, I love purslane, I love duckweed, I love so many different types, and lots I can get here. But sometimes if they're a little stronger, or even if they're just higher in oxalates, like say plantain leaf, you know, then I might just chop them up and mix them in with a big salad. So it's like, you know, or a stew or whatever, right? And you can get a lot of diversity because, like you said, with those little berries, sometimes those are so nutrient dense. You just throw a little bit in a recipe and it just brings everything up.
Yeah, it really does, and that is a good way to get more nutrition in the body too. And yeah, and I have to tell you a cool thing about dandelion greens too. That how I really got used to that flavor. I started to take one date and put one leaf of dandelion greens, and I ate it. Of course, awesome. It tastes good because the sweetness from the date take over everything. So yeah, so it was awesome. And then the next day I took 2 dandelion greens and ate it with my date.
Yeah.
And yeah, it still tastes fantastic. And then I just started to include the dandelion greens. Yeah. And yeah, finally I got used to the flavor. So now I can enjoy dandelion greens without anything else. And that is just a very good way to start learning your taste bud. And you can do this with everything. So if you're not like, maybe you're not like iceberg lettuce, try to combine them with something that really takes over the flavor and just include it more and more and more in your own in your own tempo. So
that's so awesome. No, I can totally identify with that too, because like for a long time I didn't eat much dandelions, and if people don't know, the whole dandelion's edible. So you can eat the flower, you can eat the stem, you can eat the root, you can eat the leaves, of course. But you know, when I was back home in Canada the last couple of years, you know, when it's dandelion season, I'm telling my mom, I'm telling my sister, like, don't spray them, because they want to spray them and kill them off. I'm like, don't spray them before you're gonna like let me come and like at least have a few harvests. And sometimes you know, their whole lawn can fill big bags, and usually then I'll just either loosely chop them up or put them in bags and throw them in the freezer. And sometimes I get like huge bags, and they're more nutritious and better for you than most of the greens in the grocery store, probably all the greens in the grocery store.
Yeah, and they are more clean also, because they are not sprayed with pesticides and washed with the chlorine water, and you don't know what.
Yeah.
And you also get like more enzymes and photons because it's picked more fresh and there's so more you get from that. So and then you can, what I used to do also when it's the flower season, I used to just pick all the flowers and then I dehydrate them in my dehydrator, and then in autumn and winter time and the whole year, I love to make tea of that. That is so good and delicious. Yeah.
Dandelion's beautiful. It always confuses me because people love flowers, but then all of a sudden, like, we don't want those ones. We don't want those. Poor little dandelions. That's wild.
Yes, exactly. And the more I started like the flavor, the more I also like how they look.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Your whole view of them can shift once you start to see them as something that's not only beneficial but enjoyable. And
Yeah,
I think that is kind of the secret too, is just like testing them out. And what I've really found is that the body is super intelligent. If it doesn't know something, it might be a little bit kind of like, what's this? But once it starts to get to know it through like eating it and it being giving your body so much feedback, then that's when all of a
yeah,
sudden the body's like, yeah, like. And I mean, if you try something and you always hate it and you're like plugging your nose, to me that might be like, maybe it's not really ideal. But if you eat
yeah.
it once in a while and you start to really enjoy it and you feel good in your body with it, then that's a pretty good thing. But I mean, it is important when we're talking about wild edibles to make sure you know what you're eating, because there are plants that can be poisonous and there can be lookalikes. So it's good to have some knowledge, especially when we're looking at mushrooms and stuff like that. Um,
Yes, exactly. And especially when you eat mushrooms raw also,
mhm.
you really have to be careful. And mostly mushrooms is not so edible raw. They are better when you dehydrate them because the toxic things are mostly in the liquid. So when you dehydrate it, it will be better. And also marinate them in lemon juice and yeah, these things.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Something that's really cool though, that's important, because definitely wild mushrooms can be more unsafe. Like there are some mushrooms I know that are out here that you can die from within a few days of eating, and others though, like culinary mushrooms, whether we're talking about portobello or crimini or white button, any of these guys here, shiitake. There's a lot of
Yeah.
information going around that says you have to cook them because of the agartine content, but the latest research has actually found that that's not true, and that raw
Yeah.
mushrooms are totally safe to eat. I love to dehydrate them myself, but uh, some fear that is put out there about raw mushrooms isn't really warranted, which is pretty cool. Dr. Greger has a full video on that, and part
Yeah.
of it is because the mushrooms were fed to mice and rats, and they
Mm.
didn't really understand that it doesn't work the same way in humans. But just thought I'd point that in there because I'm a big mushroom head. I love mushrooms.
Yes, me too. I love to use mushrooms in savory recipes to make like a meaty texture and also to get the kind of umami flavor they have, especially
Huge.
when you dehydrate them. The umami flavor will really explode in there. So that's
Yeah.
what I really like about it. Yeah, and it's also when I mean we live in Sweden and it's quite cold here, and mushroom have like warming components. I think you say in English. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, it's kind of warming to the body. So it's very good to include, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel
yeah, I
very
think they're a
good.
great part of the diet, and they're really rich in certain minerals that aren't as easily found. Like they're actually rich in chromium, and you can get B12 from some mushrooms, and so
Yeah.
they're pretty, and vitamin D as well, which are both of those are less common in most plant foods. So it's a really unique food, that's for sure. Have you ever went mushroom picking for chanterelles or any other wild mushrooms out here in Sweden?
If I pick wild mushrooms,
Yeah,
if I get right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I do pick wild mushroom. Sometimes, oh, I don't know what the English is in this kind of, but it is like different soppar, we say in Swedish,
yeah.
that are edible raw, but this one can be a little bit hard to digest. So I used to dehydrate them, and that is perfect.
Cool.
And
That's good
also
to know. Yeah,
chanterelles is also
chanterelle.
fantastic. They are very strong when they are raw, but you can also dehydrate them, and that would be fantastic. And
Yeah.
I like to just squeeze lemon juice on them, and then I dehydrate them with the lemon juice, and therefore it will be a little bit milder. So yeah, that's a good
The
way.
flavor just
It's
pops
very
when you put that, hey? When you put the lemon juice on and dehydrate, it's just like,
yeah, exactly.
that's
Something
so good.
happens there.
Yeah, we've been
Yes.
we've been picking a bunch of chanterelles out in the forest and enjoying those, and a whole bunch of other ones, but well, not a whole bunch of other ones, really mostly the chanterelles. But
Yeah.
so, compared to Sweden, like you've traveled around a bunch as well. How have you found the difference in living a raw food lifestyle and the types of foods you eat while you're traveling? Has there been other places you found a lot easier, or do you prefer certain places? Does your diet change a lot when you move around, or how's that work?
Yes, I want to eat the food that is mostly ripe and grown in the country I come to. So of course it changed a lot. It depends on where I come to and what the season is, and therefore. But I think in Europe is easier if I will get both fruit and vegetables where that is good quality. But Sweden, yeah, it can be hard to find like very ripe fruit. So the easiest thing I think is Spain and the Canary Islands, because there you can find so many different kind of greens, and you also have the tropical fruits. Now I am in Tuscan in Italy with my boyfriend Ocean, who is also in the raw vegan wonder.
Yeah.
And we find both amazing fruit and vegetables that are grown here and super fresh and super ripe. So like Italy, Spain, Canary Island, I think I have found that is the best place to be. I love the tropics too, like Bali and Thailand. But if you want to eat greens, it's more difficult. But on the other hand, you have the tropical fruits that they tend to have more minerals and more nutrition in there. And you also have coconuts that is a bomb of nutrition. And I like to do like your techniques when I don't have so much vegetables. So I like to bring some barley juice grass powder with me.
Yeah, that makes things a lot easier, right?
Yeah, it's so much easier. So here in Italy, I live like a king here. I mean, we have persimmon with they are tree ripened with seeds inside, lots of seeds inside, and they taste like caramel. And we also have this fantastic, I have in here, honeydew melon.
Oh, nice.
These are also grown here, and they are just so fantastic. And different kind of fruit and vegetables, grapes. Oh my God!
Some of the best grapes there.
Eat different grapes this morning, and we just have so fun with trying grapes. And we actually made a video on that, and I have a YouTube channel, Roviganses. You can check that out.
Awesome.
We made lots of videos from here. So more will be uploaded.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, I'm going to make this into a YouTube video in the future too, and when we do, I'll make sure that I link your YouTube channel to it as well. Yeah,
thank you. Perfect.
Absolutely. Yes. So how much longer are you guys in Italy?
We are here, let's see, 1.5 weeks. Yeah. So we have been here 2.5 weeks. So we have 4 weeks here. So first we went to Rome, or Ustka. We live in Ustka, which is very close to Rome. So we have been there for a while and checking out the big city. But now we are in Tuscan to go up in the mountains, to explore things more in nature, more here. So we will be around in Tuscan, and we will also go to Venice in the weekend.
Nice. It's beautiful
there. So we try to see as much as possible here while we are here. Yeah. And so Ocean are from California, so it's so much new for him too. Like, he have never tried olives before, and from the tree, and have seen olives. So it's so fun to walk around with him, because when you see olives, he wants to try everything. And I mean, eating olives from a tree is quite bitter, but then he found out that when they are sun-dried, they are perfect. So he search for sun-dried olives. So you can check his Instagram, rawvegan.love. He makes lots of funny olives videos there.
That's awesome that that both of your names are the same. Like rawvegan.se or rawvegan.love, right? Like, that wasn't planned. That was before you guys even met, right? But it's pretty cool that it matches up like that.
Yeah, I have actually noticed that too. So I mean, I have had my YouTube account for a few years, and I met him last year, so it's
very
kind of
cool. And some things are meant to be. That's beautiful. So out in Italy, have you been foraging or finding any natural foods out there, or has it mostly been from stores? Or
yes, I have found. I have actually found more than I thought about Italy. So I have found dandelion, linden leaves also. It's very delicious in salads. And then I have found wild herbs like mint and rosemary, and And also some, let's see, plantains I found, and purslane also. So, and different, some different other things that, I'm not sure they're fully edible, but I tried them and they felt like they were edible. So
that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you got a lot of experience with wild edibles, you have a little bit more intuition, and there's always of course techniques like rubbing it on your arm or then on your lip and stuff.
Yes.
But if you know.
So just who was here, never pick food if you're not sure you can eat it. No, don't do that.
Absolutely. Yeah,
No.
it can be disastrous and people do die from it. But if you know what you're doing,
I mean,
and you triple check.
In Europe, we have very few leaves that are super toxic for you. And so what I do, I just try a little piece and then I spit it out. But I mean, you shouldn't, if you are in tropical countries, they can be very, very toxic.
Yeah.
So but otherwise, when you try a really toxic leaves here in Europe, they tend to taste awful, and you just want to spit it out directly. Mm-hmm. And if you get a little tiny bit, it's probably not going to hurt you, but don't take any risk. Don't do that.
No chances needed. And there are really common ones that are fairly easy to identify. And if you start looking them up online and comparing back and forth, it's awesome because we all have phones now, right? So we can always research it, look at it, research it, look at it. We found a whole bunch of really good stuff out here in Sweden, Malmo. One of my favorites ever, lamb's quarters, and there's loads of nettles as well, which can be really delicious. Have you ever tried sea purslane?
Yes, I love it so much. Yeah.
So salty, right? That's like the saltiest.
Yeah, I love it. It's just fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, those were one of my favorites. When I was in Sri Lanka, I've had it all over, but when I was in Sri Lanka, along the fences of a lot of the best surf spots was just tons of the purslane, and I would just eat handfuls of it, and it was so savory and also just really juicy and so delicious.
You can eat it like chips.
Oh, sorry?
Yeah, you can eat it like chips.
Yeah, totally.
You don't need anything. Yeah, it's so delicious by itself. Yeah.
They're the closest green I've ever had to olives. Like I almost compare them to olives. Like each one's just like cool. So tasty. Yeah. Do you have a favorite wild edible? Besides dandelion, maybe?
Yes, that's hard. It depends. I have a favorite that I don't know the English word, I'm sorry, but in Swedish it's called strandmolla. Strand means beach because you find it on mountains near beach. So strandmolla, and molla is the name for it. So you have different kind of mollor. They can grow in gardens and this kind of stuff. But the strandmolla is very, very salty.
Okay, and it's a green. Is it like a low-lying green, or is it on a tree, or how does it work?
No, it's more like it's a low grade. So it's it's not a bush, but it grows like
Okay, cool.
So that is my absolutely favorite, and of course I love dandelion. I mean, dandelion is
one of the most universal, and they got the nice yellow flowers, and they just pop up everywhere.
Yeah. They are so easy to find and easy to recognize, and easy to use in recipes actually also. And if you use them with the right combination, they tend to be very, very delicious actually. So you have to just combine them because they are very bitter. You have to combine them with something that is sweet and something that is sour and something that is a little bit salty too. And when you have, it doesn't mean that you have to put salt in there, but maybe sun-dried tomatoes or some dulse and maybe spinach. Yeah, it's perfect with spinach. Nice. So if you combine them, so we have all the flavors, so the bitter flavor doesn't take over everything, so everything is just in balance instead. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have made dandelion salads that everybody likes. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's just So combining is. How you use them is the key to make them taste good for everybody.
Absolutely. And I mean, people are used to that with strong pungent flavors like onion or garlic, you know, and like you wouldn't just eat that plain, but if you mix it with something, then it really it expands the whole flavor palette and rounds it out. And it's the same thing. It's just using different pungents, right? Different bitters and dandelion. That's a really tasty one. That's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. So
Yes,
I'm curious,
exactly.
in your book, the Spice Life, is that, do you have any wild edibles or any kind of stronger foods in there? Are they mixed in there at all?
The Spice of Life. I don't have like wild greens and so on, because this is a book that I want you to make the recipes wherever you are in the world. I know that the vegan bundle and this book I will sell after also. I will sell it all over the place in the whole world. So I want that my recipes should, you can make them everywhere. So that was my little goal for this recipe book. But I am actually writing a book right now. Nordens råfood, the raw food in North. And in that book, I have lots of wild greens and wild herbs and wild fruits and berries included in my book. So that is that is the key ingredients in this book. So in this book, I use like lots of sprouts also. So yes. So
that's exciting. That's really cool to hear. What sprouts do you make most often?
I used to. My favorite is a mixture, actually, of sunflower, mung bean, and lentil. I can actually show you. I have it here on my counter. We grow it here in Italy. So it looks like this.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
I mean, when you combine one third sunflower sprouts and 1/3 of lentils and then the rest mung beans. This combination tastes so delicious together. It's just something happens when these three are put together in one. So I eat this like as a snack. I don't put it on everything because it's so delicious on its own. And when I combine them with raisins, that is a perfect like airplane snack or a travel food. I have done this combination so many times. These three sprouts together with raisins, it goes everywhere with me. You have them in acids and enzymes and sweet from the raisin, the sugar. You have everything in a package. So that is my to-go food. So these three that is my favorite.
So for that mix, is that in the book? Is that mix in the book?
No, it's not in the book actually. No. So you have to remember it.
So can I ask then, when you make that, do you soak all of them together? Like let's say, like you take 1/3 cup of each and just soak them all together, or do you sprout them separately?
No, I just soak everything together.
Yeah.
I soak them about 12 hours or overnight, and then I eat it 2 days after, and I just swift water. No, not swift water. I wash them 2 times a day, and in 2 days they are ready. Or maybe you can sprout them longer too. But I like when the sprout is short. So it goes very fast.
I'm gonna try that out. I'm gonna try that out. With the sunflower seeds, do you use the shelled ones or just like decent quality already shelled? Pre-shelled?
No, I use shell one. Yes. So they look like so they are just shelled. So no black skin there. So that's also why I don't sprout them so long, because shell is off. Some of the seeds can be broken. So therefore I don't get the risk that it rots or something like that. But they sprout perfectly, the sunflower seeds I buy in store. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a really fun mix. I'm going to try that one myself for sure. And I mean, it makes really lots of sense as a travel food, and as a, like with the mixing with the raisins and stuff like that. I could almost even imagine just like having those and having like a travel sprout kit that while you're traveling you could be sprouting all the time, and that's really cool.
Yes, yes, exactly. So people tend to have like a bag with a mixture of, say, nuts and seeds and dried fruits. And that is very heavy for me. When I travel and I don't move so much, I will have foods that make my circulation in the whole body going. And sprout is very good for that. So I like to use sprouts instead of nuts and seeds. So it's also a lower fat, so it's not so heavy, and it's filling and it's delicious, and so that is a perfect snack, perfect combination.
Way easier to digest than just. Sorry?
Kids love it too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's fun. Yeah, and it's cool too because you soak and start to sprout the sunflower seeds, and some of the fatty acids are turned into carbohydrates, and then you got the higher protein of the lentils, and it sounds like a really, really nutritious, delicious, and satisfying snack. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. So and it's very easy to make. Say, when you go up in the morning, you can you just put water to the seeds, and then in the evening you rinse off the water and rinse the seeds and put it in a bowl. I mean, I actually sprout in this bowl, so I don't even have a type of colander or so. I just put them here when I have drained them. And in the morning, day after, I just rinse them once and put them in the bowl again. And in the evening, I have sprouts. So it's actually 1.5 days. So it's not so much work on that. And you can eat it the day after too. And then you can put it in the fridge if you're not eating it. Yeah. And it would keep in the fridge for a very long time too, if they're not too wet.
Yeah. Do you keep them away from light, or does it matter?
Oh, like sorry?
Do you keep them away from sunlight or anything like that, or does it really matter?
No, I have tried different things with sunlight, with putting them in dark place, and I really don't feel a difference between them. So I just use, I have it as simple as possible.
Cool. And last question on this, because I think this is really great, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy trying that out too. And if it's all right with you, I would love to include that recipe on the video or on the blog post when I put it on my website, if that's okay with you.
Of course.
How much do you find is like a portion for you? Like, for example, would you take like 1/3 cup of each, and that's how much you make, and it makes that whole container? Or how much do you make at a time, and how much would you eat at a time?
Oh, it really depends. But if you say you have 1 deciliter. So in 1 deciliter you have mung bean sprouts, lentils, and sunflower seeds.
What is a deciliter?
Oh, a deciliter. Say 5 tablespoons, 5 or 6 tablespoons. Yeah, 5 or 6 tablespoons. So that is the amount I use to sprout at the same time. Sometimes I eat the whole thing. And sometimes I eat half of it. Sometimes I just grab it. It really depends how hungry I am, how I feel, and some people they can't. That is too much for them to eat at once because they are not used to it. So because it's lots of fiber and so on. And but for me, I can eat it. Yeah, I can eat everything. But it's not like I do it every time. Sometimes I may have a fruit as a starter, and then I eat the sprouts after, and I may not eat all the sprouts because I have been eating fruit before. Or if I only have the sprouts, I can eat the whole thing. It's really, it's how hungry I am.
Not only does it sound really fun and tasty just to eat, but I could imagine it could also be used in recipes and stuff like that, and be a really fun mix for a bunch of different things. If you're making like sloppy joes or maybe a bolognese sauce, like put some in there or something like that, could be delicious, or a lasagna.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I put this mixture on everything, and I really love the sprouts by itself. Like mung bean sprout tastes amazing, lentil sprout tastes amazing, and sunflower seeds taste amazing. But the problem is that if you only eat mung bean sprouts, the skin tends to be too much like fibers in the mouth, and if you only eat lentil sprouts, it's like, yeah, it can be really hard to digest actually. And if you only eat sunflower sprouts, they tend to be quite strong. But when you combine these three, it's like something happens, because the lentils will be more easy to digest because of mung beans have the what you say in English, the type of smörsyra in Swedish.
Oh.
It's a type of acid that that mung beans have that is very good for digestion. So so when you combine these two, this is just perfect mixture. And with the sunflower seeds, you make the whole mix less bland. So it actually tastes very good, because the sunflower sprouts have lots of flavor, and they're a little bit strong too. So when everything is combined, you have everything in balance.
Perfect. Well, you know, honestly, I think tonight before bed, I'm gonna soak some in that mixture overnight, and in 2 days, I'll let you know how that goes. I think that sounds like lots of fun. That sounds like lots of fun.
Do that. I would love to hear what you think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I will let you know, and I'm gonna definitely do that, because I believe we have all those ingredients. I'm pretty sure. What type of lentil do you prefer, or does any lentil work?
I use what I have. Sometimes I actually mix different kind of lentils in once, because you have different textures. I love to combine different textures, so a mix of lentils is perfect. But I have brown lentils that they are like green lentils, but they are a little bit smaller. That's what I have in here in this mixture. But otherwise, I love the black lentils, because the black lentils have so beautiful color. And they are also very, they feel like they're very easy to digest also. So if brown or black lentils is my favorite. But sometimes I use green, or like this French lentils too. But the French lentils tend to be a bit harder and not that easy to digest. So yeah, I take what I have, and I really love variety also. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and it's inexpensive too. A lot of people, they think like, oh, like raw food's so expensive, or organic greens are so expensive. But when you incorporate some fresh sprouted lentils, or just any sprouts, they're astronomically cheaper than getting organic whole greens in the store.
Exactly. And when you have like mung beans and lentils, and you sprout them, they go for being a bean or legume, to have more like vegetable qualities in there, because the protein will become amino acids, and the fat will become fatty acids, and the complex carb will be more simple carbs. So they tend to be like more greens or vegetables in their qualities. So if you are in a country that you can't find lots of greens, the quality is quite bad. I mean, in tropical countries, for example, do some sprouts instead. So that's perfect.
Sweet. Well, that's so awesome. I feel like that's a great place to leave us here, but I do want to also just again share that your book, The Spice of Life, is really, really amazing looking. I encourage everyone to check it out. I think it's so awesome to connect with you and to share all of our experience, because you know, the more we come together and spread our experience, the more it helps other people, and we grow together through each other's shared experiences. So it's been really cool talking with you, and I'm excited to be talking with Ocean again here soon as well, which will be really, really fun too. I think I'm talking to him tomorrow, actually, or no, what day am I talking to Ocean? Yes, tomorrow at 11 a.m. PST. So I'll be talking with him tomorrow, which will be a heck of a lot of fun. And I hope you guys have an amazing time with him. Sorry?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to hear that interview too. Yeah.
I think it'll be lots of fun. Yeah, absolutely. Tomorrow we're going into, I have my whole sheet out here, raw vegan for decades. So that'll be a really fun talk, because Ocean's been in it for a long time. So that's really cool. That's
just awesome. Yeah. Thank you for being on your channel and share these things with you. It's so nice and interesting.
Such a pleasure. Absolutely. Thanks so much for coming on and sharing all the things that lit you up and helped you out over the years. And your sprout mix, that sounds really darn cool. I'm going to include that too. So I hope a lot of people really try that out and enjoy it too. But
yes.
Well, thank you again. I'll
Yeah,
visit you,
so
but
much. Yes.
much love to
Thank
both you
you.
and Ocean. Have an awesome time out in Italy while you're out there. And thanks so much for both you guys being a
Thanks.
part.
Thank you a lot. Have a good time in Sweden.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks everyone for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Victoria Vesterlund, Raw Vegan SE. Check out all her goods.
Ooh, don't forget to check out my raw recipes playlist in the top left, the video just for you in the top right, subscribe for more videos in the bottom right, and get your 3 free ebooks in the bottom left. Grab your free raw recipe app available on iPhone and Android with over 100 free raw recipes, common fruit and vegetable calorie breakdown, frickin' raw and food combining chart, shopping cart function, and so much more.